Now we're going to transition from the presence of God musically to the presence of God via the message of Connie Barnett. She has been, I think, chosen by God, touched by God, maybe even compelled by God to help others. And this is her story, Miss Barnett.
Well, I want to thank you all for coming. It's a little loud. I usually like to watch everybody else's testimony. Um, and when Kevin asked me, the first thing out of my mouth was, I'll think about it. I don't like to talk in front of people. But I would like to talk about how I came to Kingdom and how the journey, how God used me to uh, feed the homeless and have the heart for that. But I was born in Bobtown, Pennsylvania, daughter of Leanna Lindsay and Paul Alliston Snyder. Bobtown. There's Hunky here. Randy. Plug it in for Bobtown. But anyway, I was third child. I was the youngest, 13 years younger than my sister, 15 years younger than my brother. Mom, she got married very young, and I remember thinking, why was I born who I am? Do you ever wonder that? Like, why were you born in that family? You know, not that I didn't love my family. I just wonder, why was I born Connie Sue Snyder? You know, why wasn't I born my friend's family? Or why was I, it's just weird. It's like, oh, I have this soul. And I always wondered that. But in my family, I wasn't raised to be around God or anything because it was God in our house was the bad word. And we just didn't go to church, and I wasn't taught that. And I would watch my friends. I remember living across the street from a Catholic church, and uh, a couple of my friends that I went to school with, I would see them get dressed up in their nice little dresses and their patent leather shoes. And I would watch her go to church, and her name was Carol. I remember asking Carol, do you think that I could go to church with you and your family sometime? And she's like, well, no, because, you're not Catholic, and, you got to do all this stuff, and your family has to be involved. And if they're not involved, you can't come. So every Sunday, I would sit there and watch her go in with her little dress and her patent leather shoes and sit outside the church, and we'd wait for Bobtown, the pizza. They serve good pizza there. So we'd go over there and we'd eat pizza, and then they'd have their bazaar, and it was really cool to go to their bazaar. But when you have that instilled in you when you're little, you think, well, I'm not good enough, so I can't go there. So church was just like, to me, our family just, we just didn't think much of it. And, mom and I, when we lived with my dad, he was an alcoholic, and he was very mean. So she knew she had to get out of there. And she knew that I couldn't live with him and her the rest of my life, watching her be abused. When you're a child and you watch that, you start fearing your dad, and fearing for your life. You fear for your mother's life, and it puts something in you that, uh, I don't know. It's just like something's missing. So, but mom, being that the strong woman she is, put herself through nursing school. And if you have ever seen the movie The Burning Bed, that was my mother's life while she was in school. Uh, it was sad, but she made it through. Her and I, the last time that my dad beat her, it was really bad. So she knew she had to leave, and we just left on a whim. And I was, I think, 10 years old. And when we left, We had nothing. We had no car, nowhere to go. I had a bag. She had a bag. Uh, but God works in mysterious ways. Right when we were getting ready to leave, not knowing who we were going to call, my dad's sister called my mom. What are you doing? She says, well, I'm leaving. And she said, good, finally. Like she knew her own brother was mean and abusive. She says, you're coming here. So that was like, okay, at least we have somewhere to go. So that was our start. That was her day of freedom, my day of freedom. Um, it was a new life for us. But we weren't completely free of that because my dad, when he was very obsessive, he was very controlling. So when he didn't have that control anymore, he threatened to kill her. So um, we lived in fear for a little while. Uh, my brother, who was only 24 at the time, who was going through a divorce and was too young to be dealing with our mess, but he was the only one we had. So he kind of protected us from my dad because my dad was a little bit leery of him because he grew up and he was bigger than him. And he was mean because my dad made him mean. Um, but he was only mean in a way of defense. He was a very, very nice, loving person. And he took care of us and he protected us. And um, my dad ended up moving away and getting another lady, which was great because he got out of our hair. We didn't have to deal with him much anymore after that. But what it does, it puts something in you. Because when I would try to have a relationship with my dad after that, all he wanted to do was down my mother. And I saw what my mother lived through, so that didn't go over very well with me. And anybody that is getting a divorce in here, when you put down the other person to your child, you have to remember that that child is half of that person. So you're putting down your child too. So just remember that. Try not to use your children as pawns. Um, divorce sometimes is necessary. If you're being abused like that, you don't have any choice sometimes. But I remember after I had Sarah, I tried to reconnect with my dad a couple times, and it just it didn't work out real well, but it wasn't bad. I just didn't have a whole lot of feeling there. So um, I was coming here when my dad was dying. And just so happened that morning, Kevin was preaching on forgiveness. And I thought, God, please don't make me go there because I really don't want to go. But I did. Um, Once I got there and I saw him, I had mercy and I had pity and I forgave him. And I told him I loved him. And like a 50-pound weight just went right off my shoulders. So um, think about forgiveness when, people do bad things sometimes. You got to look past what they do and look past and see why they are doing it. My dad, I come to find out later, because I said somebody had to abuse him or something because nobody's that mean. But my mom didn't think so. But I found out later that his dad was really, really hateful and abused his kids. And it's just a cycle, So, and that he was mentally ill. I found out later after studying, and I have a friend that her and I, since we've met, we've tried to figure out why people act the way they do. And I think that's why I can look past a lot of people that are mean and hateful and look into their heart, because I know they've been damaged somehow. Somebody made them that way. They weren't born to be like that. I mean, they were born to be, I want to be a, this or that. And somebody probably took that away from them. So, we got to love them and look past that and tell them that they're valuable. But anyway, how I came to meet Kevin and come to Kingdom was after I got married to my husband. We owned a bar, and the first year of owning that bar, my husband, he's like, "You're gonna be a bartender." And I was very shy, and I'm like, "All right, I'll try to be a bartender." So I was a bartender for like a year. It pulled me out of some shyness, but it also made me know that I didn't want to be around drunks every day, because they really got on my nerves. I mean, they just repeat themselves and they're just nerve wracking. But anyway, I'm like, I can't do this. I got to do something else. So I decided to go to beauty school. Went to beauty school. Right out of beauty school, my mother-in-law and father-in-law were generous enough to let me have the other part of the bar, and I opened up this beauty salon, and it was great. I loved the beauty salon. I met a lot of nice people, but I knew in my life, even though I had a business, I had money, I didn't worry about money. The bar made plenty of money. I had a nice family. Um, I've overcome a lot. I was not happy. I had this missing joy. Um, and I didn't know what it was. I was like, I'm not depressed. I'm a happy person, but there was something missing. And I tried everything. I mean, I drank, I partied, I just did some crazy things that just didn't fill that joy. So I thought, well, I know what I need to do. I need to have a baby. That's what it is. So, um, Greg and I decided, and it was, a gift from God, because I just decided, and it just happened, and we had this baby. And I look at this baby after I and I'm like, oh my Lord, what did I just do to myself? Like, I love her and everything, but I have no idea what I'm doing. I never babysat. I'm like, I'm clueless. And that didn't validate me. I was so scared. I kept taking her to the doctor, like, what's wrong with her? She keeps crying. But she had colic. And I'm like, there is something wrong with it. I was a mess. I was a complete mess. Everybody thought, oh, you got it all together. I was a mess. Trust me. I'm like, I'm going to be a horrible mother because I have no idea what to do with her. But I knew I wanted her life to be different than mine. I knew that. And I met this wonderful lady, Jeannie Payne. She came to my beauty salon. I think she had just turned 50. And she come bubbly in there. I want my hair frosted. And, I met her husband, Jerry, and I frosted her hair. And the first time I frosted her hair, she cried. And I'm like, oh my gosh, she hates her hair. And she loved it. And we became really, really good friends. And I noticed that Jeannie was just a very kind person. And she always treated me with respect. And she was a Christian. And she let me know she was a Christian. But she always treated me so well, even though she knew I had this bar right beside of me. My husband owned the bar. Like, it didn't make any difference to her. She treated me good. And I remember telling her that I had been invited to a church by some other ladies that came to my church or to my shop. And I went there once, and they just kept saying, oh, that's the girl that has the bar down the street. And even the preacher was saying that. I'm like, are you kidding me? I was wanted to just hide underneath the pew. And I was just like, I'm leaving. I'm never coming back. And I didn't. So Jeannie and Jerry were just such a blessing to me. And then Jerry suddenly passed away. And so, of course, I'm friends with Jeannie. I go to this funeral, and I sat all the way in the back when the preacher started. Just most preachers, if I ever heard them, I would just be bored to tears, and I would just turn it off, wouldn't listen. I just turn it off. And Kevin was preaching. And Kevin, when he started preaching, I started getting giddy. And I'm at a funeral. I'm like, I'm not supposed to be getting giddy, and I'm not supposed to be laughing. I'm not supposed to be doing this. And he was making me laugh, and then he'd make me cry. Then he'd make me laugh, then he'd make me cry. And I'm like, this guy's crazy, but he's making sense. And it was the first time it sparked something in me that felt fulfilling. So I went back to Jeannie, and I'm like, Jeannie, I don't know who that guy was that was preaching, but I really liked him. He made sense. And she's like, well, honey, I used to change his diapers. And he is starting a church. And I'm like, really? And then, then all that started coming back to me. Oh, I don't know if I can go to that church. There's no way. Because I own a bar. I just can't do it. I'm not going to be accepted. And so I took that step. And I know there's some people in here that have been hurt by churches and have been hurt by Christians. And I have too. And the first step is being vulnerable enough to walk through the door. But when I first started coming to Kingdom, um, and I would listen to Kevin, he would say things, and I would be like, "How does he know that? Like, he's talking to me, just me, in that whole room." And I'm like, "How does he know all my junk? Like, how? How?" And my girlfriend would make fun of me, and she'd be like, "That's the Holy Spirit." I'm like, how? I just, it took me so long to realize that God was speaking to me. And I remember the day I got saved, like I knew I had to put the armor down. And I knew I wasn't in control. I thought I was in control. But I was so broken, I didn't realize how broken I was. So after I was saved, I thought, oh, wow, something amazing is going to happen. And I kept waiting, and nothing amazing happened for a while. And I'm like, what am I doing wrong? You know? And there was a family conference here one weekend, and I didn't want to come. And my girlfriend at the time wanted to come, and she begged me. She's like, please come. I want to listen to this lady. This lady was a Christian counselor. And like, I don't need to hear a Christian counselor. I've been to church already. I just don't want to spend the weekend here. But I did. I came. And I remember the lady talking, and it was all women in here, and she put us all in these little groups. And is Kathy in here? Kathy Jackson? She was in my group. I was just wondering. But I remember being in this group, and we were like right here, and the lady was wanting us to profess what was holding you back from having this personal relationship with God, because we all have walls. And I'm thinking, I don't have a wall. I'm like, I have no idea what I'm going to say. And I'm thinking, what am I going to say when it's my turn? I had no clue. And so when it came to me and I had heard all their stories, it just came out. I don't think I'm good enough. And they all just like, what? And I'm like, I don't think I'm good enough. And as soon as I said that, it was like the Lord came down that second that I professed that, he gave me this big hug. And he said, you don't have to be anything but yourself. You don't have to act like you're perfect. You don't have to act anymore. I love you unconditionally. And I started crying because I felt that in my heart. And it released me of so many things I didn't even know was in there. And that's why I'm standing here today, because I never would have stood here before. I never would have thought I was good enough to explain it. I would be like, they probably think I was so stupid. I probably said the wrong thing. But I'm over all that now. I was born with a very, very giving heart, and I never knew why. I would tell my mom, why do I have such a giving heart when I don't have any money to give anybody? Because I want to give everybody money. Anybody that needs money or needs anything, I want to get it for them. Like, I've always been that way. I used to get in trouble over giving away all my toys. And I remember my mother had bought me this Miss Beasley doll. I wanted it so bad. And my cousin came to visit, and she wanted my Miss Beasley doll. So I snuck up to her and I told her not to tell, and I gave it to her. And my mom noticed, and she's like, where's your Miss Beasley doll? And I'm like, I gave it away. Why would you give your Miss Beasley doll? And I'm like, because she wanted it. Like, I am the type of person, if you come to me, I'm going to make sure you get what you need. And I just never could figure out why I wasn't rich, because I would definitely help a lot of people. I know I would, because I'd give it all away. I don't know why I'm not rich, but it's just not meant to be, I guess. But anyway, what I wanted to talk to you about tonight was basically helping other people, and how I feel that the Lord has spoke to me in mighty ways about how compassion and empathy has gone down in this world. I checked some statistics, and since Facebook and social media, compassion, they took like this survey, and this is secular, so it's probably way more than this. This is like 40% since social media. I mean, I'm sure the founder of Facebook didn't set out for that to happen. Um, it's a new way of relationship, though. I think it's taken the place of relationships, because it's all self-serving. A lot of the stuff, they say that when you get likes and shares and you look at that, dopamine releases in your brain, so it's addictive and it feels good. And I have to admit, as a Christian, it does feel good when you see you've said something great, or somebody thinks you've said something great and they like it 10,000 times. You're like, wow, you know, you kind of puff up a little bit, But that's not what the Lord wants us to do. We're not to be lovers of ourselves. We're to love other people, and by our love, they recognize us as a Christian, because that's what we're supposed to be like. And Nathan, can you? Yeah. So, this scripture right here, I mean, the Lord, before he was crucified, I think we need to take a look at a new commandment. When somebody's getting ready to die, I think that you need to pay attention to what they have to say, because it's going to be pretty important, especially when it's the creator of the universe. So you might want to pay attention to this. A new command I give you: love one another as I have loved you, so you must love one another. By this, everyone will know that you are my disciples, if you love one another. So how else is someone supposed to know us if we're not loving them and we're supposed to be Christians? When I look at these people downtown, these people are invisible to everybody else. they're below the poverty level, because these people that we serve, not all of them are homeless, but a lot of them are. And what I want to do is tell them, because they're invisible doesn't mean they're not valuable. Um, and they are invisible to a lot of the world today, because I see on social media, um, I see a lot of people worried about dogs being adopted. And I love dogs. I love my dog. And I want to see every dog be adopted. Um, but there's also 400,000 kids in the foster care system right now. And there's 400,000 churches. So I'm thinking to myself, wow, if one church, if one family out of every church would adopt one of those children, it would be solved, you know? What you have to decide is, who did the Lord put in front of you to love? You know, for me, it is a bunch of widows and people that need me to love on them. And that's who, in this season, that's who I'm loving. My heart was always thinking that I would adopt a couple of children. I would help children um, have a nice, safe place to land. Um, that's what's wrong with a lot of these kids that are reaching for drugs, and they're just trying to be validated, and they're not getting that. But just to prove that there are some self-centered Facebook pictures out there, I'm going to start with a few. We've got the bathroom. We have selfie. Okay, next one. We have the serious selfie, and we have the duck face. We need to figure out what compassion really is. It's that human disposition that fuels acts of kindness and mercy. Compassion is a form of love, and it is aroused within us. And when we are confronted with those who suffer and are vulnerable, compassion often produces action to alleviate the suffering. So, actually, compassion demands action. You can't say you're compassionate about something and not do something about it. So that means you're not really compassionate. Um, Jesus doesn't want us to be compassionate on Facebook. We've been desensitized because we're blasted with suffering, but in the midst of the blasting with suffering, there's little videos of doggies running around. There's recipes, and here's so and so's this, and and we kind of put that all in the same category, and the suffering part gets missed, you know. And it's just the way our brain works. It's really not our fault. It's just the way that this Facebook can be. I'm not against Facebook. Don't get me wrong, but I know myself. I get caught up in that, and it's easy to do. Um, we need to start using it for better things, nicer things. And here's some qualities of what too much social media can do to a person. You will get obsessed with yourselves. And it says in the Bible that we are going to become lovers of ourselves. And I think this is a big part of how the enemy uses it against us. 80% of posts are related to us, to you. So it's not really helping anybody. It's a lack of personal interaction, and it makes it easy not to care. I mean, you can say you care on Facebook and nobody really sees it. It's not a good way to say you care. If I go pray for Susie in person, doesn't that mean much more to you than me saying I'm going to pray for you? I mean, I love prayer chains, but we've got to start being more real about, the human connection. Um, the three qualities of compassion. Um, the thing about it is, compassion interrupts your life. Um, you have to take time to talk to that person. You have to invest, and none of us have time anymore. Um, but you got to decide if somebody is sitting beside you at work and you see that they're struggling, what are you going to do? Just walk by, you know? Um, I'm going to invest in that person. I'm going to tell them about Jesus, and I'm going to tell them how Jesus changed my life and how that's the only way to be validated. Other people cannot validate you. Um, if you're suffering because of a broken relationship or a broken marriage or a broken home, and you are putting all that weight on that person to make you happy, it's never going to make you happy. Um, no other person can make you happy. It's Jesus. He's the only one that can make you happy. And once you have Jesus, then everything else comes in line. Your family, your relationships with your kids, with your husband. I know it changed my relationship with my family, my husband. Um, and one by one, I'm getting my family in here being saved and knowing Jesus. And it's just been a wonderful thing. Um, but true compassion demands action. And if you read anything in the Bible where Jesus is healing somebody, or it always says he felt compassion. So, and he always stopped what he was doing to heal somebody or to help someone, to feed someone. Um, he stopped what he was doing and he engaged, and he took the time. And that's what we need to start doing, is taking the time to show people that we do care. Um, whenever you know who you are when you're able to break down in front of your creator and say, I'm done being my own God. I want you to be in control of my life from this point on, because I'm lousy at it. And I was a lousy God for myself. Even psychology today says that we numb vulnerability, and because we are the most in debt, obsessed, and medicated group in US history. You cannot numb vulnerability, because when you numb vulnerability, you numb your joy and your happiness. And that's a dangerous cycle, because that's when the enemy gets involved and makes you feel like you're worthless. And then that's when you start having really silly thoughts. And he came to destroy you and take you. And so you have to get rid of those thoughts. You have to get back into the presence of Jesus. But you have to get under the faucet of his holiness first. So even if you are skeptic here tonight and you're not a believer at all, I'm telling you, I'm not going to stand up here and BS you. I'm not, because that's just not me. I am an honest person. I will tell you what works and what doesn't work because I've tried it all. And um, once you spend more time with Jesus, your compassion will come back. But I know in myself, the more I spend on social media, the more I am about myself. So I am just asking all of you to pray about it, because this church reaches out in many, many ways, not just about the circle of friends, not just it's we reach out to the community in many different ways here. But if you're afraid to be involved because you think you're not Christian enough or you don't know enough, I'm here to tell you I didn't know anything about the Bible. And I was welcome here, and there's a lot of really good people here. And they really do love you. They will love you. We're not perfect. I know that. We're not perfect, but I can tell you that they love with all their heart and soul. And we need you. We need all of you to step up and help. Um, we have a little secret group here, and it's called the Little Old Ladies That Cook. And Mike. And Mike is a really good leader, and we need help in that group too, because um, we have a lot of little old ladies that are getting tired. So Mike wants to call it, I want some young people that want to learn how to cook. And he's looking for volunteers. So I told him I would plug that for him. But I want to show you a few selfies that I think should be on our page. And this is from Circle of Friends. This place means a lot to me. And I think God prepared me for this by giving me a giving heart. I got to come to Kevin and say, hey, these people need fed. I would like to start an adult program. And he's like, all right, go ahead. You can do it, but you're the boss, you know. And I'm like, okay. So, but what I want you to pray about it, because these people are the invisible people. These people are the ones that are below the poverty level. Last year, these are some of the people that help. Kristen, would you like to come up here for 1 second, please? I want to introduce you to Kristen. This little girl has a heart for the homeless, and she has helped me almost every single time. And she saves her allowance to buy all the babies and all the little kids baby food and all these nice little snacks for kids. And now she wants to start buying coloring books. And so she has the heart already. And I know that she's had a very good example. You got to teach your kids empathy. You know, you got to get them around this so they see, you know, that how, first of all, how lucky we are, right? How blessed we are. And it's all about love. And don't we love some of those people? What do they give to us? Love. Betty. I know. We love Betty. Betty prays for us. Betty hugs us. They teach us gratitude. Um, they are so gracious. I found a note one time on the table where this guy felt like he had to explain himself, that he's not always been homeless. He lost his job. When he lost his job, he lost his wife. When he lost his wife and his family, he turned to drinking. So he lost it all. But he wanted to let me know. And I'm like, I hated that because I didn't want him to feel like he had to explain anything to me. Because my job is to love. Our job is to love them where they are. And yeah, you're going to be uncomfortable because there's drug addicts there. They come in drunk sometimes and they smell funny sometimes. But our job is to love them, not to judge them. Jesus is the judge. We're the lovers. We are the lovers. Holy Spirit is the convictor, but we are the lovers. We are not to judge. And there's a nice young lady here, Stephanie. I told Stephanie about it at work, and she came to help me once, and Stephanie was just on fire. So Stephanie started her own group. So Stephanie volunteers down there once a month with a bunch of ladies that I work with. And it's so easy. And aren't they just so gracious to us? They love us. They give back to me because I know how I would be. If I was cold and hungry, I would be pretty hangry walking in there, and I would be like not in a good mood because I am hangry. And they come in there with this joy. And I was there one day helping James. He called me, and Vicki couldn't help, and I, of course, went with the youth. And it was James' idea to sing happy birthday to someone. And we're like, is it anybody's birthday? And two people raised their hand. So we started singing happy birthday, and they started crying because that stirred up a memory in them that they haven't had forever. You know, we take so many things for granted, don't we? And then I had a high school girl come up to me a couple of weeks ago, and we had that little meeting, and we were trying to, introduce the little groups to everyone that's new here. And I had this high school girl come up to me, and she's like, I really want to talk to you about starting a mission, getting shampoo and socks. And she said, I just went to New York with James, and I want to do that here now. And I said, I need you. I want you. I love you. I need you. And so I'm here to challenge all of you today to figure out what God has put on your heart. He's given all of you a gift. And you're to use that gift for someone else. It might be kids. We have a kids ministry over here, and we could always use your help. If you love cooking, we can put you right to work. If you like serving and hospitality and you want to love on people, step out, Facebook me. Let's use it for a good cause for once. Facebook me. Tell me, ask me questions. And the next time we're going down there is November the 18th. It's on a Saturday. I know I'm asking you to give up a Saturday, but it will be so worth it when you see the happiness that you bring to these people. And I'm going to soon be trying to collect socks and gloves and hats for them because it's going to get cold and they need that stuff. And last year, Stephanie and I called, and this is not a plug for us, this is just something that came upon our heart, to call the Bartlett house on Christmas to find out if there were any children there. And there were two. And we got all excited, and we asked everybody at work, and they gave money. And so we got a list from the two children that were there. And what broke our hearts the most was they asked for suitcases. One for the mom and one for them. And this is not something Christian help can do. I mean, these people, because at first we went out and bought all these big toys. We're like, oh my goodness, we can't do that because they won't fit in the suitcases. They're getting kicked out the next morning. Can you imagine? You open up your gifts and you have to be kicked out, and you're going to be on the street with two little suitcases. So we had to rethink. So we had to make sure the things they asked for fit in a suitcase. And then we thought, oh my goodness, we can't go down there and just give two kids gifts. There's 30 people in there. And I'm like, what are we going to give them. Well, first we were going to give the mothers of the kids gifts, and we're like, we can't just give 2 mothers gifts and not have gifts for everybody else. So we had this dilemma, and we decided that we would get 30 bags and a lot of volunteers and some more money. And we bought shampoo and toothpaste and all kinds of little goodies that they never get. And we put them in these great big totes. And it took, I mean, they were heavy, weren't they? They were heavy. And we walked in the Bartlett house, and it's so gloomy in there. It is awful. I mean, it is. I mean, we as a church, we need to change that, you know? It is the worst place in the world. We walked in there and we were just blown away. The sadness. There's no light at all, none. And there was this little girl there that was as happy as she could be, wondering if Santa Claus was going to bring her. You know? Now that's sad that we live in a town with so many people that have a lot of money, and that Bartlett house looks the way it does. And a lot of Christians. And it's like, I want to do so much, but I can't do it all by myself. Like, I need help. I would love to have ideas. I mean, a lot of you might have the power to do more than me, but we really need to get down there and make it a little bit prettier, a little bit nicer, and maybe offer a little bit of hope, because that's all they need. They just need to say you are valuable, and that's what they need to hear, and that they're worthy. And so that's how I got here. That's what the Lord put on my heart tonight. And I would like to challenge each and every one of you that if you belong to any kind of a group, and I don't care if it's a card group, a Girl Scout group, Boy Scout group, there's a lot of dates we need to fill to feed these people. We do it once a month, and it does say in the Bible that if you feed a stranger or show them hospitality, that you could be feeding an angel. And that has always stuck with me. I didn't know whether I was going to use that tonight. I was in a Goodwill Sunday, and this giant cup was setting out in the middle, and that scripture was on it. I'm like, are you kidding me? I grabbed that, and I'm like, are you kidding? That says that I was going to bring it tonight. I forgot it. It is this big. And that's what it said. Do not forget to entertain strangers. By doing so, you may have entertained angels. This happens, people. It really does. I mean, I know it's unbelievable, but it does happen. And I know that's true. So think about it. And if you want to know how to do it, we make it easy for you. All you have to do is contact me. I will show you what to do. If you want to start your own group, I will show you what to do again and again, because I never get tired of going there, because I love on those people and they love on me. They give me back something that nobody could ever buy me. So I'm just here to challenge each and every one of you to please get involved in this church. I love this church. I love Kevin King because the Lord uses him every day. And I always say to him, Kevin, I do not know how you do it, because I know how I am. If you know me at all, and if some of these girls that work with me, they know how I am. If I think they need to hear a sermon, I send it to them. And I'm like, this is about you, and you need to listen to this. And they're like, I'm out there with it. I do not care. If you are my neighbor and I see you're having an issue, I'm going to try to help you. But I am going to always guide you here. And I'm always going to guide you toward God. Because He is the only one that can fill that angst, that emptiness that you feel, that you're trying to fill with everything else. Because nothing else, trust me, will fill it. Nothing. Nobody, nothing. No money, nothing. That's why you see all these rich people that are going crazy. It's because they don't have God. I always say Jesus is the answer. And I know everybody at work thinks I'm crazy and they think I'm a Jesus freak. But I try not to hit them over the head with the Bible. But I will hit them over the head with a sermon. And you know, I like sermons. I do. I always say, Kevin, this one's about you. You need to listen to this. And not that he needs it. It's just that I know he's on the same page as this other guy who I really, really love. And I'm not even going to say his name because I love you. I love you just as much. But I'm just saying that if you are my friend, I'm going to invest in you and I will never give up on you. But I'm telling you, I know what works. And I'm telling you, it's the most beautiful, peaceful. I invited a friend here, and she's here, and I'm not going to look at her. But I invited a friend here tonight that I've known for 30 years that was so ate up with anxiety. She could not enjoy life. She couldn't enjoy anything. And she was just ate up. And I kept inviting her here, and she would not come. Wouldn't do it. She'd come to my house. She'd hear Christian music. She'd say, what kind of music is that? Like Christian music. Well, I don't want to hear it. So I'd turn it down. So one night, she was just beside herself one day. And I said, you need to come to one of these here. It was just quiet. It was a nice evening. And I said, just come and get some peace. You need peace. So she did. She came. And I've never seen anyone in my life change that quickly. Like, only God could do that. And she knows that because she's tried everything else. James prayed with her, and that was it. Her life. And I've seen it. She's happy. She's crazy, but she's happy. And she knows who she is, and I love her so much. I've never gave up on her. I've always prayed for her. She knows I've always been here for her. And she actually gives out Bibles at work now. And I told her that the Lord uses her in mighty, mighty ways because they see the change in her, the peace. And when you're ate up with anxiety, it's usually because you're trying to control something that you can't. We all do that, and in the midst of chaos. I know when my house gets chaotic, it's because we've stepped out of the presence of God, and I know all I gotta do is mention it, and it just like seems to calm down. So I know where it's peace beyond peace. It's peace beyond anything I can explain to you. So all I'm asking is if you're here tonight and you're a skeptic, you're still welcome. If you don't think you're good enough, you're still welcome. And if you just need loved on and you just need to be here just to listen, then that's where you need to be. It took me a long time to get here. The word is a surgical tool. It brought things out of me I didn't even know was there. I was dead, and he made me alive again. So I just want you to know you're all welcome, and you're welcome to talk to me anytime. I'll try to be a good friend, but you're going to hear about Jesus. So, anyway, that's my story. Sticking with it.